Hi, guys.
Hi, Shelley. Thank you so much. Well, alongside Vic Hawk, I'm Neil Gordon. And Vic, tonight we're going to tackle a very, very serious subject, nursing home negligence.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about preventable injuries, and we're going to tell you about the Patient's Bill of Rights on Law Call tonight.
That's right. We would like you to call in. Just please use a landline, mute your TV if you can, and the number to call, 803-442-4551. A quick break, more News 12, and then Law Call. Hi there, I'm Neil Gordon. Thanks so much for staying with us. We trust nursing homes to look after our loved ones when we're unable to, and most elderly residents are well taken care of. But what if you're unsure about the quality of care your loved one is receiving in a nursing home, and are nursing homes regulated by the state? What indicators of substandard care should you be on the lookout for? If you'd like to know more about the downside of the nursing home care industry, please give us a call. We're going to take your questions live at 803-442-4551. Please use a landline and mute your television if you can. Now, here's what's coming up on the docket. Beginning with July the 1st, we'll have a segment on all about injuries. On July the 8th, you can ask us anything. And then on July the 15th, if you've been hurt on the job, we would like to hear from you. Joining us this week and every week, unless he's on sabbatical, we're joined by Vic Hawk of the Vic Hawk Law Firm, a personal injury attorney. And sometimes, Vic, you get calls about nursing home negligence.
Absolutely. We probably get calls every single week. You'd be very surprised how often there's an issue that comes up with a family. Very surprised. You can... I wanted to say hello to my mom tonight. She's in the hospital at Doctor's Hospital on the 4th floor. And Mom, I love you. Get well soon. I appreciate all the people at Doctor's Hospital for taking care of her. We're going to talk about a very important subject that's dear to many, many families. And in order to help y'all tonight to understand what your rights are and what your loved ones' rights are, I brought on Sam Nicholson. Sam Nicholson has been practicing for over 30 years. We actually went to law school together. He's a member of the American Trial Lawyers Association. He's a member of the National Association for Consumer Advocates and a member of the Georgia Trial Lawyers Association. Sam, can you tell our viewers what is this Nursing Home Patients Bill of Rights? What is that?
Well, thank you, Vic, for having me here tonight. In the state of Georgia, the Georgia General Assembly made a statement and a policy that they wanted to protect residents in long-term care facilities, which are nursing homes, and to make sure that all of their rights are preserved and that they are treated in the least restrictive way possible. And therefore, just because they live in isolation and sometimes there are not many people to come out there and make sure that their rights are preserved if they don't have any loved ones close by. So when someone is admitted to a nursing home, then the nursing home is required to explain the Bill of Rights set forth by the state of Georgia, enacted in statutes in the state of Georgia, and to explain it to them both in writing and orally and let them know what the rights are, how to file a grievance, and then if they're not satisfied with the outcome of the grievance, then they can have an administrative hearing with someone from the Department of Human Resources in the state of Georgia. So there are a lot of rights that a nursing home resident has, and it is important to make sure that these rights are being preserved, and there are ways to go about making sure that they are preserved.
You know, one of the most fundamental parts of the Bill of Rights is you have the right to privately consult with your doctor that comes to see you. You have the right to have private visits with your family members. You have the right to the use of the facilities as needed without someone overseeing you. And the whole idea behind it is if someone is in the nursing home and the family suspects they're not being treated like they should, they're not being cared for like they should, they do have the right to have some privacy with their families to discuss what their needs are and what's actually going on with them.
So in fact, some of the areas that have come up in the CSRA, and most of the nursing homes are just fine, but there's always a few bad apples. Abuse, neglect, physical abuse, There's occasionally been reports of sexual abuse, emotional or psychological abuse. And Sam, your experience with the amount of calls that you get, what is maybe the number one thing that a son or daughter should really be looking for when they come to visit their mom or dad?
Well, to look at the general physical condition of their loved one is the main thing. I mean, a lot of times you can go in there and see that they don't look well, they don't look as good as they did the last time. Unfortunately, they may have an odor, and that they have not been cleaned properly. It's just a lot of different things like that. Sometimes they fall, and then the falls are not discovered until several days later in some instances, and therefore they're not able to get around as well as they had been before. So there are a lot of things to look for. One other thing are pressure sores or bed sores. That is a terrible thing. We've seen some awful cases dealing with pressure sores, where the patients have not been, or the residents have not been turned like they're supposed to be, or moved around in their beds, and it's just it's a terrible thing. What happens here with long-term care facilities, a lot of times they're not staffed properly. I don't begrudge the people, or not trying to say anything bad about the people that work there, but they just sometimes cannot get to everybody like they're supposed to, and unfortunately, as a result of that, these people, residents, sustain terrible injuries. And in Georgia, you have a right, in addition to what I mentioned about the grievance procedure you have with the state, you also have the right to pursue a legal action in court for nursing home negligence, and you can get actual and punitive damages as a result of that.
Well, if you suspect that maybe something has happened to a loved one, we'd like to hear from you, because Sam or Vic may be able to give you a little bit of advice to help work you through the situation. Just stay on topic if you can to nursing home negligence. The number 803-442-4551, 442-4551. Sam, what do you, when you get a call, what do you think is one of the complaints that you tend to been most overriding of late?
Probably two things of late. One is a fall and broken bone, and the resident ends up in the hospital. Second one I've had is what they call aspiration pneumonia, which is actually choking on something that it could be a food or liquid that has been given as a result of a feeding tube. And what happens there is that the patient or the resident is not sitting up long enough to have this digesting the food, and therefore the food then this goes back up into their windpipe and into their throat, and they die of aspiration of pneumonia. We've had 2 or 3 cases like that recently, and there's just some terrible situations. It's a difficult subject. I know it's difficult to put your loved one in a nursing home. And for the most part, the nursing homes try to take care of people the best they can. But like I said earlier, they get into situations where they're not staffed properly, and as a result of that, some of the residents sustain severe consequences.
You mentioned the economy. It probably does play a factor. We're going to take a break in a moment, but just real quick, as someone is interviewing nursing homes, what would be good staffing levels? Is there some red flags that you should look for?
There are state requirements for staffing levels, and I don't know them right offhand,
Sure.
but you can look them up and find out how many people they're supposed to have employed there based on the amount of residents they have. That's one thing you look for, but then you just look at the general overall condition of the facility. And I think checking around and checking with the state keeps records on long-term care facilities, a very extensive and detailed records. You can go back and get the history of complaints that they've had very easily. All you have to do is contact the Department of Human Resources in the state of Georgia.
Well, thanks so much. It's been a lively first segment, and we'd like you to get involved if you can. The number again, 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call Nursing Home Negligence.
And from the Vic Hawk Law Firm, Augusta attorney Vic Hawk, known as a tough courtroom fighter, helping injured people for more than 30 years. plus guest attorneys from across the CSRA. Your rights, your calls, live. News 12 Law Call.
We're going to take Dennis's call on nursing home negligence in a moment. First, though, our legal brief. Well, if your lawsuit is headed to court, you'd better be prepared to wait a while for a verdict. Personal injury attorney Melissa Detch-Mende explains why in tonight's legal brief.
Many people get frustrated after their personal injury lawsuit is filed because such a long time passes before any settlement or trial. Here's what's happening. In the discovery phase, you and your lawyer will need to gather up all of the medical records, your bills, and other proof of your injuries. Some of these must be obtained in a specific way to make them admissible at trial. This just takes time. The other party's lawyers may slow things down by scheduling what seems like an endless number of motions and hearings on motions. They're hoping you'll get tired of waiting and agree to settle for less. If your case doesn't settle, it will go to trial. But trials are on the court schedule, not the lawyer schedule. Having a case that's 2 to 3 years old before going to trial isn't unusual. But if you really have a valid claim, your patience can pay off. That's your legal brief for tonight. I'm personal injury attorney Melissa Detch-Mende of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Thank you, Melissa. Gentlemen, about how long, with a nursing home case in trial, how long would it take to be resolved, do you think? Several months?
Oh yeah, it takes several months. You got 6 months for discovery at least. So once the lawsuit's filed and they file an answer, there'll be 6 months of discovery. Many times when that 6 month period is ended, then there are additional questions that crop up. You may have some concerns about whether you got all the records.
Right.
And
Well,
you go chasing those.
You got experts too that you have to work with their schedule. So a lot of time the discovery period goes longer than 6 months. And what Melissa said on the tape there is pretty much accurate. It could take 2 to 3 years. That's not out of the ordinary.
Right. Sure. Well, Dennis from South Carolina joins us. Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
We understand your mom is in a home and you think that she's suffering some abuse. Who do you think is hitting her?
Well, there's a mental patient there that they said that when he done this, that they can have his medications regulated. But she was sitting in the day room, and he's hit her several times and bruised her. And they had the doctor to check her and all. But my thing is this fellow's unsupervised by them. They should be supervising him.
Well, Dennis, I think you're exactly right. They should be supervising him, and also protecting your mother. One of the requirements that a nursing home has is to provide for the safety and welfare of the patients. And if your mother is being potentially abused by another patient, it's their duty to protect your mother from that patient and to do what's necessary to do that. Now, if they fail to do that, and you can get your mother out of that home, I certainly would. And if they fail to do that and it causes your mother injury, they're going to be responsible for it.
Yeah, I would make a complaint to the administration there of the nursing home, if it is a nursing home. And then if you don't get any satisfaction there, the state of Georgia has what's known as an ombudsman program. And that person will go in and investigate your complaint, and they will go to the home unannounced, review the records, and then give you back a report of what their findings are.
Well, Jay joins us from Georgia. Good evening, Jay.
Hi, how are you all?
Oh, we're doing just fine, and we appreciate you you calling in. What is your question for Sam or Vic this evening?
Yes, my question is there a statute of limitation time that you can file suit against a nursing home for negligence?
Sam?
Yes, generally it is 2 years from the date of injury, and if that injury results in death, then you have 2 years from the date of death to file a lawsuit against the nursing home.
Okay, well, we're continuing to talk about nursing home negligence. Want to give you the phone number again. It is 803-442-4551, 803-442-4551. And Sam, you've mentioned that there are a lot of restrictions on nursing homes. What would happen if perhaps the state would find them to be at fault and liable? I mean, are there some pretty heavy fines? Can they be shut down? How does that procedure work?
Yes, they can be fines that be assessed against them, and as you say, the worst possible penalty is shutting them down. But most of the time they cite them for deficiencies and give them an opportunity to correct those deficiencies in a certain length of time, and then if they don't, then they'll impose more sanctions on them.
Robert from Augusta actually has a question very much related to what you were saying. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Mayor Gordon. And first of all, let me just say, Victor Hawk, your mother's going to be in our prayers.
Thank you very much, Robert. Appreciate it.
That never stops talking to you. Listen, one thing I want to bring up, the one that's over there adjacent to Doctor's Hospital is the best nursing home here in Augusta. It's a rehab center, and it's the best in Augusta. My mom was there, and they treated her like she was a special kid, like they treat everybody like kids there. But now, one I want to bring up to you is called House of Light. It's almost in Hepzibah. This place
Robert, hold on. One of the things we can't do is mention particular facilities. So please don't mention a name. Your question is, how can you help close down a home that you feel is negligent in its operation? Is that right, Robert?
And the state took her and put her in there, and they fixed a sheet cake, lasagna, and a pasta salad, and then we went back the next afternoon, and all the patients was either given a choice between a hot dog and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
They fixed it for their own people, and that's not right.
Yeah.
And the lady died in the woods there.
Yeah.
And this is where the lady escaped from his home and was found dead in the woods.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling, Robert. We appreciate it.
Sam, he's talking about just the situation you're talking about, which is you can bring in someone from the state to look at a facility that you have concern about.
Yeah, absolutely. And all you have to do is call an ombudsman with the Department of Human Resources. They have the address and phone numbers posted in a nursing home in Georgia, and you can just get the number and the address right there, and you can call and make the complaint, and then they'll come in and investigate it.
Well, we're going to be right back with more of your telephone calls. All that we ask is you try to use a landline if you have one, and mute your television set. Again, the number 803-442-4551. Tonight's topic, nursing home negligence. Well, thanks so much to Sam Nicholson of the Nicholson Revell Law Firm in Augusta. The number is 706-722-8784 or online at nicholsonrevell.com. You can also reach Vic Hawk at several of his offices in the CSRA. The main telephone number to call in downtown Augusta, 706-722-3500. We welcome your emails with questions for Law Call. You can chime in on the website, vichawklaw.com. Welcome back to the program, rejoined by Vic Hawk and Sam Nicholson. We're talking about nursing home negligence. We've had some really excellent calls about some serious situations, and we want to encourage folks to call you off air. And a lot of times people think that attorneys are going to charge so much for a consultation or by the hour, but in this case, there really is no charge. Is that correct?
That's correct. Most of these cases are handled mostly, vast majority of the time, on contingency basis, where we charge a percentage of whatever we collect and a reimbursement of our out-of-pocket expenses. What I want to impress upon all the viewers is that if you have a situation where you feel like your loved one has been treated unfairly, and if they appear to be malnourished, or they seem to be dehydrated, or if they've had a fall and they've broken a bone, or if you notice some pressure sores on them, please contact an attorney. You may have a case that would merit pursuing it in court. and to seek money damages based on the actual damages of the resident, of your loved one, and also possibly punitive damages if the actions of the nursing home are very, very offensive.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that we do when they come into the office in cases like this is we look at the physician's orders. And the physician will have ordered A, B, C, D, E with regard to the care and treatment of your loved one. And when you see that not occurring through your own visitation or consultation with your loved one, that's when you really need to evaluate the situation to see if there is a further need for legal action to protect your family member. You'd be real surprised how many times they don't follow the clear physician's orders with regard to the care and treatment of a particular patient in the nursing home.
Sam, I know that you mentioned there's an ombudsman, the state gets involved. You know, in business, there's the Better Business Bureau and consumer reports and so forth. Is there a rating system involved, or is it really? It's really buyer beware. You need to go visit all the various
there's
options.
no real rating system, but they do keep a record of all complaints and violations that nursing homes have going back several years. So you can check that and get an idea of what kind of facility they have by just doing that. But sometimes the state does not have the resources to go in and investigate like an attorney's office who is experienced in these nursing home cases that can go in and hire an expert and have the records reviewed by an expert to determine if there's any negligence there in order to pursue a case.
Vic, are there ever any ways to take pictures or to show proof?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's exactly what the family members need to do, is take pictures. Well, you see it a lot in cases involving bed sores. I mean, the family members come in for visitation, especially if they're from out of town and they're coming in to visit the mother or the father, and then they look and see there's terrible bed sores on their father or their mother. And when you look at the medical records and have them reviewed and the physician's orders reviewed, you find that they weren't doing the very basic things that they should do, that every patient in that nursing home is entitled to by way of care. And when that occurs, you need to act, because then it makes it safer for all the other patients in the community. It makes the other nursing homes safer to be in. So look out for your loved ones. And when you think that there's something wrong or something has occurred that's injured them, make sure you consult a trial lawyer. Make sure you come to someone like Sam or come to someone like me, and let's look at it and evaluate it and see what we can do to help you out.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We've talked about injuries, to the elderly, and next week we're going to be a little bit more broad in general, all about injuries. Could be car accidents or other medical mishaps or slip and falls. We appreciate you calling in and your viewership as well, and pleasure to have you, Sam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Enjoy being here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good job.
Well, please stick around for the rest of what's coming up on News 12. We hope you have a great work week ahead.
Thank y'all for calling.